Welcome to the Opportunity Podcast, where entrepreneurs come to learn from real buyers, sellers, and industry experts on the lesser-known growth opportunities to build their online business empires. We'll uncover tactics veteran online business entrepreneurs have used to build, buy, flip, and sell their way towards personal wealth. Sit back, grab a coffee, and get ready to uncover hidden growth secrets. The Opportunity Podcast starts now.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Opportunity Podcast, your go-to resource for hidden growth opportunities throughout online business. For those familiar or new to the podcast, I'm Sarah, and thanks for joining me today. In this episode, we'll be talking to Hanna Nowotzin. Hanna is the head of sourcing at Factory 14, a growing Europe-based FBA and e-commerce aggregator with a focus on brand excellence and impact. Hanna gives us a peek behind the curtain to reveal the momentum of the EU market and what it has been like to emerge within an increasingly competitive acquisitions landscape. She explains what qualities she looks for in an acquisition, what sectors Factory 14 is bullish on, and what expansion opportunities make sense within the EU market. Hanna also gives us some valuable insight into the potential to make a difference within the context of Amazon FBA and where Amazon might be headed in the future. I don't want to give away too much just yet, so let's dig into the interview and see what Hanna has to share. Let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Opportunity Podcast. Really excited to have today's guest on, Hanna Nowotzin. So Hanna, how are you?
I'm awesome, thanks. How are you?
I'm great. I'm super pumped to have you on. We were talking a little bit offline and I'm already swimming with questions. So before I overwhelm you, I was just wondering, where are you calling in from in the world?
I'm calling it from Madrid at the moment. Feel so lucky to be in such a wonderful city in the heart of Europe.
You are super lucky. I actually love Madrid and it's been on my list to go back. Haven't been back in years, but who knows? Next time I'm in, I'll let you know and might hunt you down.
Be great.
Yeah. Awesome. So let's see. There's so much to get into with this episode, and I just want to start with your backstory. So how did you find your way into the world of online business acquisitions?
So I always wanted to have a positive impact on society with the work that I'm doing, like I feel many of us do. But working in a conventional investment banking environment, it didn't necessarily give me this feeling. I was more feeling like with the acquisitions I'm doing, I'm making rich people even richer. So here comes the beauty of online businesses, because oftentimes Amazon sellers, they're individuals like you and me, have a strong passion for something like, for example, sustainable cutlery to reduce plastic waste. And then by buying these companies and giving them the capital they need to grow, I'm making a passionate individual a millionaire. And that just gives me an awesome feeling.
I love that. I love that perspective because, I've not heard that from a lot of people, but I'm totally on the same boat. Like, I think that's one of the coolest things about this space is that you get just such a wide range of people all making their dreams happen through these different online businesses. And it makes it really inspiring and exciting on a daily basis. So that's cool that
Totally.
You found your way. Yeah, because it's like you said, you're working with the same group of people all the time, traditional finance. And then I think your world just kind of completely radically changes when you're in this industry. So that's cool. Mm-hmm. Now, I understand you are working, within the European space at the moment. And I'm so curious about this. It's been a big topic at Empire Flippers as we have seen so much action within FBA and e-commerce in Europe. So I was wondering from your perspective, what does the market look like right now?
So there's two sides to it. And I feel like for an acquirer, the European Amazon and European D2C space is very interesting because we've seen that European businesses normally only focus on the countries with the language that they are speaking. So for example, there's this amazing German fitness brand that we're looking at the moment, and they're doing great. They're having absolutely fantastic products, but they're only operating in German-speaking markets, so like in Germany and Austria, and it never crossed their mind to expand to, for example, the US or other parts of Europe, which really would make sense with the kind of product that they're making. So from an acquisition point of view, it's nice because you have so much potential in these creative and innovative brands that just like haven't taken the step to come to the US, for example, which obviously is the biggest Amazon market at the moment. And then on the other hand, for companies, I feel like European acquirers are very interesting because even though European acquirers like Factory 14, we are heavily funded, we are still slightly smaller than the US big players like Swayze and the likes. And what that does is that if you get acquired by an European acquirer, the possibility is that you're maybe their 10th company. So 1/10 of all of their resources, of their capital, of their time, of their attention goes to you. And this is why I feel, if you're looking to exit, a European acquirer could be a really nice option.
That's such an interesting perspective. I hadn't really thought about it like that, where it's like there's such a beauty and an opportunity with a, say, European acquirer where like the space is still growing and has a lot of opportunities. And yet, like you said, you're getting all of those resources. I don't know. I think it's one of the coolest things because we take for granted in the US just, playing within the Amazon US market and may not always understand kind of what's happening in the EU space and just how much, I guess, sort of white space is available to really expand within that market and then come over to the States, like you were saying. I'm curious because it makes me think about, you and Factory 14 kind of coming out in, the European space amidst a lot of like competition. I was curious, like, tell me about how you're, carving out unique opportunities for you and your portfolio at Factory 14, say, despite the competition.
Yeah, as you're saying, the space is getting so much more competitive. There's so many buyers joining in, which is great if you're at a point where you were looking to exit your business, right? I feel for Factory 15, we highly differentiate ourselves from typical acquirers in the way that we're really only buying brands that have unique and sustainable brands with significant brand equity. And what I mean by brand equity is differentiated products. So if I go on Amazon and I type in the product, they're not 50 of them that look the same. So it's less into the white label space, but more in the, okay, put your own stamp on it, make it individual. So these are the products that we would go for. Then also, we normally feel more drawn to businesses where the products have superior quality to the market standard. And then what I would also define as brand equity is a strong brand story. So do you have a vision where you want to go? Is that backed by a mission? Can we translate that even outside of Amazon? So for example, that can be shown by a strong Instagram followership.
Oh, that's cool. Well, I mean, what you're saying there, it kind of bleeds into my next question. You're talking about, looking for that brand story, unique set of products. But I was wondering, when you're looking for an acquisition and you're looking at, particular qualities, are you guys searching within, say, predefined parameters or even niches, for example? Or are you just kind of evaluating businesses on more or less a case-by-case basis?
Yeah, so obviously every founder and every company is its own world and deserves to be evaluated on a case-by-case basis. But obviously also, yes, there are certain niches that we at Factory 14 prefer. And this is normally the ones we think there's going to be long-term growth and there are like long-term trends underlying the purchasing power in these niches. And that is, for us especially, is sustainability. We feel like the sustainability movement will be around for at least 10 years. We're very bullish on that. In the terms of classical Amazon categories, I would say the niches that we most focus on is sports and outdoors and fitness. This is why also 85% of our current revenue comes from these categories. And other ones would be baby, pet, home improvement, kitchen supplies, and sexual wellness.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, when you're talking about sustainability, I think that's so exciting. It goes back to your earlier point of being able to work in businesses that you see are making a difference and that you care about. Because when I think of Europe, like, you guys are totally at the forefront, I feel like, of sustainability. And now you get to curate that through Amazon. Like, I think you guys are in a really unique place to be able to make a difference with that.
We hope so. It's a plan.
Yeah. Well, so in light of kind of everything that you're looking for, One thing that came to my mind, I was thinking about, you're building all these brands and you're looking at all these different niches. I was curious, are you looking for synergies between those acquisitions, or do your businesses tend to operate independently of one another?
Yeah, as I was saying, for us, the key for every brand that we're acquiring is the brand equity and the brand identity that they have. So we want them to keep the brand identity and be superstars on themselves. So we don't need companies to have synergies with the ones that we already have acquired. This is absolutely no requirement. However, because we have so many strong brands and as I was saying, combined, we have an Instagram followership of above 1.1 million. So cross-selling and cross-advertising just comes naturally. But we see it more as a cherry on top rather than a motivator for an acquisition.
Okay. As you were talking about, this question just totally popped in my head. So maybe bear with me. It's probably not going to be the smoothest, but you're talking about your Instagram following, and I was wondering, do you have a carved out department for working on curating those followings? And is that a part of your brand strategy to be able to grow existing followings?
Yes. Normally when we're buying brands, these brands, as they have strong brand equity, they already have Instagram followers. They normally already have very well working Instagram pages with around, for example, 20 to hundreds of thousands of followers. So for us, we just keep growing that and trying to make that better. We normally don't start it from zero. But yes, in between our marketing strategy, we try to do a holistic marketing strategy for every brand that we acquire. And this entails various market channels. And one of them definitely is social media.
Yeah, that's, I find that always interesting that you can come to the table with that because, and I'm sure we're going to get into this in later questions in terms of, how you're approaching sellers or what different buyers offer sellers. But I think it's a special quality to be able to come to the table and say, hey, look, I recognize that you are an established brand with a strong Instagram following. We have the capacity to be able to grow that and to grow that community and grow that channel. Because obviously not every buyer can do that. So it's interesting that you guys kind of have that in your wheelhouse to go, cool, I see that as an opportunity and I know exactly what to do with it.
Yeah. I think it's also about valuing their brand identity and recognizing that it takes more than just growing revenue to keep going with the vision that they had in mind when they were first starting the business.
Awesome. Yeah. I'll circle back on that in a minute because I like this idea of continuing a vision. But I did want to talk to you about a specific acquisition. So you guys had purchased an FBA business from Empire Flippers earlier in the year. Tell me, walk me through, what was it about this particular brand that really caught your eye?
On that one, what we really liked was the sales channel diversification. So they were not only selling on Amazon, but they also had a very well curated web page and also had a strong Instagram page. They had when we acquired them, there were around 30,000 followers already on the Instagram. And that make us see the potential that was in that brand to not only work in Amazon, but also outside of it, which is a good indicator for brand equity. If people are willing to engage continuously with you, for example, through Instagram, that's always a good indicator for us. So this is what caught our eye with that one. And then we were also super excited about the potential it had for geographical expansions, because at the moment of acquisition, the company was only selling in the US. And honestly, we had so much fun expanding this company into Europe. The European market loves the product, did well. And yeah, just had been a really, really nice success story for us.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. I mean, I'm just curious. So maybe walk me through the timing of that acquisition to where it's been in your portfolio now. How long ago was that and how long has it been in your portfolio?
So this was in summer this year, early summer this year, around June when we acquired the company, June, July. So it has been in our portfolio for around half a year. And first things that we wanted to take as to increase revenue was geographic expansion, because we saw that the products and the web page and the Amazon itself, it was curated in such a way that we thought this would instantly work in other countries as well. So we saw kind of the potential in geographical expansion and executed on that. And now we have it launched in, I guess, between 8 or 10 countries already.
Wow. So you guys have stayed busy, it seems like, in a good way. That's awesome. Well, I was curious, like, when you guys had taken, or you in the process of trying to sort of seal the deal for that acquisition, how do you guys approach the negotiations process to ensure that your offer stands out and is attractive to the seller?
hmm So the most important thing, I guess, is to understand the individual preferences of the seller in order to stand out. So what is their preferred deal structure? Do they want to keep working with us and grow with us? So are they like very bullish about the future growth and want to share the future profits? Or are they more looking for a clean exit and want to maybe sail the world with what they're making of the transaction? So I think that is the most important thing, understanding what their individual preferences is and then structuring the deal accordingly, as well as making sure that the brand is not always not only perfect for us, but we are also, like, we as Factory 13, our house of brands, our vision is also perfect for the individual seller. So I think how we make that sure is by laying down, like at LOI stage, we lay down a plan on what we think with the numbers and the research we have done, what would be a good growth level and what we want to execute on. So that the seller get better picture about like what we want to do with his company and if he aligns on that vision.
Mm. Yeah, aligning on that vision. I think that's just such a powerful point. I mean, like we know that there's a lot online for sellers. They're looking to basically let go of their baby and, they've probably worked really hard to scale their FBA brand. Being able to align on that vision is such a nice part of the puzzle where it kind of comes down to more the money at the end of the day. It's like, who is the best sort of steward of my asset and is going to be able to take it to the next stage? And now clearly, you guys have been able to execute on that and bring it to the countries that you intended to. Like, it's a powerful thing. Very cool. So we were talking about earlier, you're saying in your portfolio, you're not necessarily having to go for synergies. However, I was wondering, what your take on is on things like bolt-on acquisition opportunities, or when you have brands, are you thinking of expanding beyond, say, the Amazon platform to look for opportunities on Shopify, for example?
100%. And I also think this is a factor that sets Factory 13 apart from normal aggregators or conventional aggregators in the space, is that we are very bullish on sales channel expansion. And it is what we have been doing with every one of the companies that we have bought so far. Yeah. I think sales channel expansion is one of our core qualities. It's an excellent way to significantly accelerate revenue growth as well as lower your specific marketplace risk.
Yeah, it's so cool for me to hear because, I always feel like I can see what's going on when, we're working with FBA aggregators in the space and, you're talking to me about the European market. But I always have this question in my mind, like, well, what's next? Like, how do you marry that up to Shopify? How do you marry that up to other e-commerce platforms? And yeah, I kind of always feel like something's brewing in the background, but I don't really get to talk to enough aggregators who are saying like, yep, we're bullish on it. We're going for it. We're making it happen. So really interesting that that's already up front, having sort of been in this space quite recently to say, yep, we are going for that. At the same time that we are emerging in the space, we are actually looking at those different sales channels at the same time and trying to make it happen.
Yeah, I think here also the opportunity for the founders that decide to opt for an earnout and that want to be, or that want to take part in the ongoing operations of the business and share the profits over the next years. I feel they're mostly very bullish on Shopify because obviously the margins that you have on a web page tend to be higher than you would have on Amazon. And if you have a product and a brand that has this brand equity, then they normally work very well as well on Shopify.
No, that's a great point. Maybe this builds into kind of what you're talking about. So you guys, you have a vision of these brands. You want to go ahead and get into those other channels. But you guys also have sort of a program, this 2-year acceleration program to boost new acquisitions and their performance. Can you just walk me through that? Give me some insight onto what that program is and what's involved.
Yeah, I would love to. So here again, every boost program is individual for every company, and every company is its own world. Anyhow, what they normally have in common and what we tend to do with all our companies is, as we were already saying, sales channel expansion, looking, well, apart from Amazon, which is great for growing. What can we do as well? Can we create an own web page? Can we maybe do Walmart online? We really like to work with Walmart online in the US specifically. It's a great additional sales channel. Can we work with other retailers or other marketplaces, whatever fits the company best? Then the second one that we always do is geographical expansion. And there, the great thing is that as we're operating in Europe, we're kind of experts on the European market. So the companies that we're buying from the US, it's easy and fast to scale them in the European market, where we have seen great success. And also, on the other hand, for the European companies that we're buying, as around like 70% of our current revenue from our portfolio comes from the US. We also consider ourselves kind of expert on that one. So geographical expansion is a big point. Then the third level of growth in the Boost program is infusion of capital. So just making sure you're always in stock, you're not losing your rankings because you're going out of stock, because air freight, for example, was too expensive, things like that. Just really being in stock all the time and having the capital for that, as well as having the capital to execute on the pipeline of new products that founders maybe already had in their head, as well as we have our own new production development department, which helps on finding add-on products. And the fifth growth lever is creating a holistic marketing strategy, including a revamped positioning in the market, going over the tone of voice and how we want to speak to the customers.
Okay. Yeah, I like the way that you just walked me through that and helped me understand that. I think, for those out there, this is something we hear all the time. Let's say you're a seller, an FBA seller, and you're listening to this, and I think there's a lot of people who are hungry to hear the perspective of companies like yours. And they're going, okay, I really love the idea of maybe making a bigger exit one day. I want my FBA brand to be worthy of being acquired by a bigger buyer. But I'm curious, what would you say to those people to help them understand, how do they make their business more attractive to an aggregator or to someone who's capital backed?
Yeah, so if you would like to push or increase your valuation that you can get in, especially like the next year, 2022, I would say put in the multi-channel presence. So try to launch your brand also outside of Amazon, because this will make you stand out from the crowd. This makes you individual, and it shows that you have great and big brand equity because your products are working even outside of the Amazon space. So this really can push in evaluation in 2022. Also, obviously, reducing sales channel risk for yourself. And then a second thing that I would advise is, well, get the strong brand equity in that I think I've talked a lot right now. So by product differentiation, by having some tweaks to your products and not it being like a purely white label product, but having some tweaks, maybe owning your own mold and getting this product differentiating in, you're securing your market positioning and you're getting a competitive advantage, which will translate in an increased valuation. Also, investing and driving organic traffic, which could come, for example, from Instagram followers, because by building a strong and differentiated brand, you're reducing the dependency on cost per click of Amazon ads, which we are expecting to increase significantly more in 2022. And then I think if you're just at the border of exiting and you're thinking, how can I get like some quick wins in, then I would say just focus on profitability. See if there are some small levers that you can take to push your margin a little higher. An example for that could be, for example, outsourcing design or outsourcing content, which tends to be more profitable than hiring somebody in your own team.
Yeah, like you said, looking for those quick wins, especially in light of 2022. It's one, I'm thinking out loud, I'm like, gosh, I cannot believe we're almost in 2022. But, it makes me think of kind of the trends and what's coming down the pipeline. Like, I'm so curious to hear your perspective because, as someone whose, role is head of sourcing, you're keeping a close eye on the FBA industry and all these emerging trends. In your eyes, like what are some of the emerging trends that you're seeing that might shape the industry in the year to come?
Yeah, as I was already saying, at Factory 15, we are very bullish about the sustainable movement, and we're seeing that this will continue in the next year. So also in 2022, we see that consumers are more aware, people feel lost in this overwhelming offer that they receive online, and they're trying to have it easy to make their decision, and sustainability can be a huge factor for customers in making a decision on which product they want to go with in the end. So that's a big one. Additionally, at Factory 15, we're very bullish as well on the outdoor and sports categories, because the pandemic has really boosted this deep longing of people to go outside, being social, doing sports, engage in that. And yeah, I'd say these are like the main trends I see in for the future.
That's so interesting. Yeah, like I was thinking to myself as you were going through those things, like it's so funny to hear how the pandemic might have shaped the trends that you're buying in. It's obviously very apt to go, yeah, like obviously people want to get outside, they want to be social. Sustainability is certainly top of mind. I think, the flip side of that, and this is something that, I failed to ask you during the interview, but I think of the challenges. Like, of course, we've got all these opportunities during the pandemic, but then we've also seen a lot of challenges the past couple of years. And then currently we've got this shipping crisis happening. I was just curious, what has it been like trying to navigate those challenges during the pandemic and moving forward as you've been growing as a company?
So I'd say with every hurdle that you have to overcome, you're just like getting better as a company. And the good thing is, if you are in a house of brands and you're having a portfolio of various brands, normally the problems that you're encountering with one company, which could, for example, be like delays in getting inventory in and so on. It's not like one other company for sure has experienced that already in the past and now quick exits. And also, like if you're selling to an aggregator, you normally have like a huge team of experts on the D2C spaces. So everybody knows their field. And I think that makes it easier to navigate through the problems, because, it's never the first time that somebody has encountered it. There are already solutions in place that you just like have to activate.
Yeah, that's a powerful point. Being able to strike a balance among the businesses and the brand, having the team in place to sort of face those challenges versus, if you were on your own as a seller, it can really be a make it or break it element of running a business. So that's cool. Hanna, I've had a lot of fun just going through all these different things, the way you guys approach your acquisitions, your portfolio, looking towards the future. I love to wrap these up with just a couple rapid fire questions, if you're cool with that. And if so, we can dig right into it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I will warn you, sometimes these are kind of hard. They're meant to be rapid fire, but they happen to be quite deep. So bear with me. What would you say are the best hidden growth opportunities for FBA sellers?
First thing that comes to my mind is brand registry. So if you haven't applied for brand registry, do that as soon as possible, because it will allow you to add videos to your listings, a storefront, A+ content, which can all be great to boost your conversion.
Yeah, that's a fantastic point. Again, back to that, building that brand identity like you were talking so much about. That's great. What about tools or resources? So what would you suggest people use to prepare their FBA business for a profitable exit?
For FBA businesses, personally, my favorite tool is Sellerboard, because it gives you so much insights on Amazon performance, the KPIs, and so on. Also, sellers can share their Sellerboard with a broker or an advisor or even the acquirer, so that every individual buyer can just like slice and dice the financials as they would like it, and makes it way easier to have comfort around the financials.
Awesome. And final question, a personal question. What has been your funniest moment during sourcing new acquisitions?
I'd say there were a lot of funny moments. Maybe one of my favorites is that one time I reached out to an incredible company that we thought would be a perfect bolt-on add-on acquisition for one of our portfolio companies. And I was engaging with the CEO. We were telling them about the portfolio that we have built. And it turns out that one well, the founder of one of the companies that we already have in our portfolio is actually like a high school friend of the founder that I was talking to. So that was very funny and obviously helped my sales pitch a lot.
That's awesome. Isn't it wild? It's like,
yeah, world is so small.
It is, but especially in, online business or even smaller in FBA. Like I just met up with someone today. I'm trying to explain like what I'm doing now for a living in the industry. And I'm like, it sounds vague, but it's not. And it's a really small, tightly knit corner of the internet. Like I don't know how to describe it, but somehow you kind of know everybody as soon as you're in it, which is great. Yeah, I'm glad that worked out for you and you made that happen. That's awesome.
Yeah. It really is like a little bubble. But what I like about it is that it also builds trust, right? And this is also maybe an advice for somebody who's looking for an exit. Really take your time to get various LOIs in and then really look at the portfolio that the acquirers have built as of now. And if you can identify yourself with the companies that they have built so far, is this like where you want to be? Are these companies growing in a way that you would want to grow? And yeah, by living in such a bubble and people knowing how different acquirers work, I think that gives you great insight on what kind of growth strategy could be the perfect one for your individual company.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer and great insight. Like trust is so important. Like you said, we say this a lot to our audience. It's kind of like, look, this is probably going to be one of the most important transactions of your life if you're a seller. Like how often are you exiting a business for potentially a big sum of money? Like make sure it goes right. Make sure that you've got a trusted team helping you within the process, that you look towards that buyer and they share your vision. It matters. And I think one thing I've really enjoyed and taken from this conversation is I love that you have kind of that vision and you're looking to make a difference in the process of acquiring these FBA businesses. So I think that's great. And I've loved hearing about it on this podcast today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Really, it's an honor.
Yeah, it's awesome. Well, rooting for you and good luck in all the craziness going on in the European space. I'll look forward to seeing what you guys get up to.
Thank you so much. Have a lovely day.
You too. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. Hope you've walked away with a bit of insight that'll help you in your digital entrepreneurship journey. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. To learn more about businesses available for sale at Empire Flippers, click the link in the description or visit empireflippers.com/marketplace. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.